Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today we're diving into a field that often flies under the radar, but trust me, it's way more captivating than you might think. We're talking model making. And to guide us, we've got this awesome career overview from RoleCatcher.com.
Yeah, it's really interesting how many misconceptions people have about model making. You say model maker, and instantly it's all, oh, like those tiny train sets.
Right, like a hobby shop straight out of the 80s. But this RoleCatcher piece really opens your eyes to the scope. It's not just about miniatures, is it?
Not even close. Honestly, the applications are mind-blowing. Think about healthcare, for instance. Model makers actually create anatomical models, like hearts, lungs, the human body.
Whoa, for real, those super detailed ones you see in medical schools.
Exactly. Surgeons use them for planning out surgeries. It allows them to actually visualize the procedure, potential complications, all before making the first incision.
That's wild. So we're talking about a field that's as much about precision and real-world impact as it is about artistry.
You've got it. And healthcare is just one example. Architecture, engineering, even education model makers are everywhere. They take these designs, these often abstract concepts, and make them tangible, understandable.
It's like they're bridging the gap between imagination and reality. But to do that, you'd need a pretty unique skill set, right? Like, I'm picturing someone who's got that creative spark, but is also incredibly detail-oriented.
You're hitting on something crucial there. RoleCatcher really nails this. It's that blend of artistic vision and meticulous attention to detail that sets model makers apart.
Mm-hmm.
And the materials they work with.
Oh, yeah. What do they use?
It's seriously diverse wood, plastics, resins, sometimes even metals. It all depends on the project.
So a bit of mad scientist mixed in with the artist. I like it.
A little bit. And then there's the tech side.
Right.
We're not just talking XECTO knives and glue guns here, though those are definitely still in the mix.
Right.
You got traditional techniques being used alongside cutting-edge stuff like 3D printing.
3D printing. Yeah, that's got to be a game changer, right? I can only imagine.
It's huge. Think about the possibilities. 3D printing gives model makers a whole new level of precision and opens up possibilities for creating incredibly intricate designs.
Right. And there are so many different types of 3D printing now. You've got your SLA, your FDM. It's like you need a whole other degree just to keep up.
Almost.
Yeah.
And that's part of what makes this field so dynamic. But it's also what makes it so challenging. Choosing the right type of 3D printing, the right material for each specific project, that's where the expertise really comes in.
Adaptability is key. That makes total sense. And speaking of different approaches, one thing that stood out to me in this role catcher guide is that there isn't just one model maker path. You can really specialize and grow within the field. Huh?
Yeah, totally. And this is where it gets really exciting for anyone considering this as a career. The career progression is super interesting. RoleCatcher lays it all out like a roadmap. You might start as a junior model maker, maybe assisting on those architectural models we were talking about, learning the ropes, getting comfortable with tools and materials.
Right, getting your hands dirty, literally.
Exactly. And then, as you gain more experience, you move up the ladder. You might find yourself working more directly with architects or engineers, really getting into the nitty-gritty of their vision.
So it's not just about technical skills. You need to be a good communicator, too.
100%,
Oh.
especially as you progress. Like a lead model maker, they might be overseeing entire projects, managing teams and budgets, making sure everything stays on track, all while making sure the client is happy.
Wow, so there's a whole project management aspect to it, too. That's really cool. What about the job market itself? I know RoleCatcher mentioned something about model making being in high demand these days.
Yeah, and it makes sense when you think about it. All these advancements in technology, especially in fields like healthcare and design, well, someone's got to build those models, right?
Hey, someone's got to bring those innovations to life, make them real.
Precisely. And that's where skilled model makers come in. So
Wow.
yeah, the job outlook is definitely looking good.
That's really encouraging for anyone considering this as a career path. Okay, so let's say someone's listening to this and they're like, this sounds amazing, but do I actually have what it takes? What kind of skills are we talking about here?
Well, a good eye for design is essential. I mean, you're basically taking a 2D concept and translating it into a 3D object. So understanding spatial relationships, proportions, that kind of thing is super important.
Right, like you need to be able to see the final product in your mind before you even start building.
Exactly. And mechanical aptitude is huge too.
Yeah,
You got to understand how things fit together, how mechanisms work, that sort of thing.
makes sense. So it's like a blend of artistry, engineering.
Totally. And of course, there's the whole tech side of things too, 3D modeling software, different printing techniques,
It's a lot to keep up with.
definitely. But that's also part of what makes it so exciting. Oh, and another thing, a solid foundation in math is really helpful.
Math? Really? Tell me more about that. I'll be honest, math isn't exactly my forte.
Well, think about it. You've got precise measurements, scaling objects up or down accurately, understanding angles and geometry. It all ties back to those core mathematical principles.
Ah, okay. Yeah, I can see how that would be important.
Definitely. Every little detail matters in model making.
Yeah.
It's all about precision.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's not just about eyeballing it. It's about getting those measurements exactly right. So we've got creativity, technical skills, a bit of math. It's really this amazing blend, isn't it?
It really is. And
Yeah.
that actually brings us to what I find most exciting about this whole field, the future of model making. With all this artistry, technology, deep knowledge we've been talking about, there's just so much potential for innovation.
Totally. And RoleCatcher actually touched on this too. They mentioned things like virtual reality applications, which just blew my mind a little bit. How is that starting to play a role in model making?
It's pretty incredible, honestly. Imagine architects using VR to actually walk through a building model, like experience the space before a single brick is laid, or surgeons practicing a complex procedure on a 3D printed organ. That's the kind of stuff VR is making possible for model makers.
Wow, that's next level. So it's like taking these 3D models we've been discussing and basically putting them into the digital world, making them even more immersive and interactive.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And with all the advancements happening in bioprinting, material science, who knows what's next? I mean, 3D printed organs for transplant, that's not just sci-fi anymore. It could actually become a reality.
That's wow. It's kind of hard to even wrap your head around the impact model making could have. Like, we're potentially talking about saving lives here.
We are, and it really highlights something we've been circling around this entire deep dive. Model making isn't just about creating a replica, a miniature version of something.
Mhm.
It's about understanding the core of something, bringing it to life so that other people can learn from it, innovate with it. You know,
Yeah. It's about turning ideas into tangible realities, whether that's a miniature city or a model of the human heart. Beautifully said. So, for anyone out there who's feeling totally inspired right now, what would you say is the most crucial thing to keep in mind about a career in model making?
I think the biggest thing is to never lose that sense of curiosity. Be open to learning new stuff, pushing your own creative boundaries, your technical skills, because this field is constantly evolving. The most successful model makers are the ones who are always hungry to learn more, always experimenting.
I love that. Embrace curiosity and never stop exploring. What a fantastic takeaway for all of us. A huge thank you to RoleCatcher.com for giving us such a fascinating glimpse into the world of model making. And to you, our listeners, thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We hope it sparked your own sense of wonder and maybe even inspired you to do a little exploring of your own. Until next time.